10 lost tribes, for those who don't know, were in the Bible a group of Jewish tribes who were captured by the invading Assyrians and deported, and they were largely ignored throughout history until the 1600s, when Matteo Ricci discovered that there were Jews in China. And quickly people began developing a lot of theories around where the other Jews could be. For instance, in the 17th century, Manasseh ben Israel thought that all the South American tribes were some sort of lost Jewish tribes, and by the 19th century there were a lot of theories going around that the Japanese were a lost tribe, the French were, the Dutch were, and in recent times some African Americans have also speculated that they too are a lost tribe of Israel. Anyway, by the late 19th century, a lot of British people began to speculate that they were a lost tribe, and the first person to put forward this message was Richard Brothers in the early 19th century. Now, he had some support but was thrown into an insane asylum and spent his days creating flags and uniforms for his New Jerusalem kingdom. The early 19th century had many people speculating the end of the world and all that sort of stuff. For instance, there was Joanna Southcott, who was called the Lady of the Apocalypse, and is also mentioned at the beginning of A Tale of Two Cities. Now, she prophesied that the end of the world was coming and gave a box to the bishops of England to be opened in time of tragedy. But in her life, she is estimated to have at least a few thousand followers. The seeds of British Israelism, as it was called, had been planted, and over time a lot of theories were developed about how the British were somehow Jewish. But one of the most prominent and popular theories was that the British were in fact the Scythians mentioned in Persian texts, and they fled after Cyrus the Great invaded, and they then worked their way over north and then west into Europe, and there they became the Celts. So they were the true Jews, somehow. Well, they were the true house of Israel. They were the descendants of Joseph, and in fact some British Israelites actually believed that the pyramids of Giza were built by the British because they only matched UK measurements. And the current Jews, they believed, were the descendants of Judah, so they had the house of Israel and the house of Judah. And many people saw the Jews and the British as sort of ethnic cousins in a way. It did attract some pretty prominent followers like Princess Alice, and it set up churches in New Zealand, Australia and America, and some foreigners. For instance, there was the Russian Hippolytus Lutostansky, an incredible anti-Semite himself, actually believed the theory because he thought that the Irish harp was the same harp as David's, and the British lion was the Lion of Judah. Despite the prominent followers in churches all around the world, in fact there are still some churches, well at least one in London that I could find, that still preach this, that the British are somehow the rightful Jews. However, despite all this, they didn't seem to have much of an effect on the secular world. However, there was an offshoot of British Israelism called Christian Identity, which speculated that white people were in fact the chosen people. But this is probably a video for another day.